Welcome everyone to this amazing matchup between Hans Niemann and Vidit Gujrathi happening inside a stadium in Texas, USA. The score in the third set right now is 5-3 in the favor of Hans Niemann. 6 points means he wins the set. He's already won the first set. Vidit won the second set. So if Hans wins this game, he goes forward. He wins the match entirely. While Vidit needs to fight back and get 3 more wins. It's not going to be easy. In tennis terms, this is a match point for Hans. Vidit has to stave off defeat. C4 is how the game begins. The symmetrical English. Knight comes out to F3, knight to C6, knight C3. Are we going to see the 4 knights? Will Vidit play his knight to F6? He thinks for a bit because he needs to find ways to keep the position exciting and interesting. He goes knight F6 anyway. And how does Hans continue here? There are many ways to play. He plays E3, E6. Absolute symmetry on the board. Well, Vidit knows that Hans Niemann is an aggressive player and will try to imbalance the situation no matter what the situation is of the match. Bishop B5. This is an interesting line here. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Now, you have complete symmetry in the center. And generally, such positions are quite dull. However, a lot depends on the piece activity. You will see that h3 is played to limit the bishop coming out here. Vidit also limits here. Rook e1 taking the open file. The bishop takes the diagonal. The knight jumps in. Rook comes to c8. And now the bishop supports the knight. So you can see white has slightly more activity than black in this position. Knight comes to b4. Now threatening to fork here. Hans defends against it. Vidit pushes the bishop back. Where will the bishop go to? Bishop comes back to e2, and this is a very important maneuver because he's going to put his bishop on f3. First rook e8 played, but now you want to kick off this knight first so that later on it doesn't come into d3. And now bishop f3. I really like this maneuver of the bishop coming to f3. Bishop goes back, takes, and bishop to e5, centralizing it. If you take here, maybe he wants to take with the pawn. Time control is 2 minutes plus 2 seconds increment. Hans has 1 minute 55 seconds. Vidit has 1 minute 40 seconds on the clock. He plays his bishop back to e7 and Hans comes in, attacks the pawn on b7 here. You need to defend against it. Also, the pressure on the d5 pawn is mounting with the bishop on e5. And add to it the fact that Vidit is in a must-win scenario. This is not a happy situation to be in. A draw is okay, by the way. It's not like he would lose the match because Hans would move to 5.5. But still, you don't want to be giving away those half points at such crucial moments. Queen d3 played, Hans improving his queen's position. How does Vidit create his chances? Maybe a good move is queen to d7, just moving the queen up. Vidit, yes, he plays it. Queen to d7 is a good move here. Rook comes to d1. And the position is still roundabout even. Now doubling down the c file. What is white going to do next? Where is Hans Niemann's play coming from? Maybe he needs to switch the queen over to g3. That could be an idea. So bishop e2. But it just feels a little anti-intuitive to move your bishop away. And so he's taking his time because he has a minute extra on the clock now. Burning the time a bit. Queen d2. I like this move because queen f4 is the idea. But Vidit has a nice maneuver. Knight at 7 to g5. Not so easy to find. He goes b5 first. Trying to create play on the queen side. Hans goes rook c1. So Hans is a little bit confused here. He's moving his rooks back and forth. And waiting for Vidit to do something. Is Vidit going to... Oh, he finds this maneuver. Knight h7. Excellent move. Can Hans actually find another interesting maneuver of bishop d1 to c2? Because on the long diagonal, this bishop would be amazing. Amazingly placed. He plays bishop e2. Maybe he's going this way. Aha, that's interesting. He goes bishop to e2. And now this bishop can be kicked away with f6. But you know, guys, whenever you play your pawn to f6, these light squares become very weak. So Vidit jumps in with his knight to g5. Queen comes up to e3, just slowly improving the position. As we said, queen g3 could be an idea. b4 played, takes, bishop takes here. And now there's a lot of pressure on the c3 point. He puts his bishop on d3 on this long diagonal. Wow, Vidit has only 29 seconds to decide what to do. He takes on c3. And Hans, maybe he can take back with... Oh, he takes with the rook. And rook takes. Now, this is a mistake because now White's position is bolstered. He goes a5. And by the way, pawn cannot be taken because of bishop h7 check. h4 kicking the knight away. All of a sudden, these pieces of White have become menacing in the position. Bishop, queen. Queen can swing over maybe. He goes queen g3. There's a mate in one threatened. f6 played. Bishop comes back. Bishop takes h6 threatened now. King moves to the side. How is Vidit going to continue here? Hans Niemann is going to play bishop c2, queen d3 and create this amazing battery in the position. Also, it would do away with the threat of rook takes c3. So clearly bishop c2 is the best move. Yes, he finds it. Bishop c2, bishop f5 played, offering a queen bishop trade. Now the best move here is bishop d6 with the insane threat of... Oh, he finds it. Rook e7 coming in. What a move. If you take the bishop, rook e7, and with it having just 17 seconds, this is a killer blow. He has to come back with the bishop here. This is not great. He had to take the bishop and sacrifice his queen, but now queen g6 threatening a mate in one. If knight f8, there is bishop f8 already hanging. What a great move bishop d6 was. And now rook e7 comes in. Queen is attacked. g7 is hanging. Vidit resigns. Hans Niemann wins the match here. 6-3 in the final set. You can see there both the players not able to emote much because it was such an intense match. Applause all around. You can see Hans Niemann coming there with his trophy. This match was not easy. Hans shows that he is maybe one of the best players in the world when it comes to speed chess. Vidit, of course, fought really well in the second set. He managed to put a lot of pressure. He won it and made it 1-1. But in the third one, Hans Niemann was strong, won it 6-3. And there you can see all the spectators who have waited well past midnight now in Texas get their chance to meet both the grandmasters, get their board signed. And this was quite a spectacle. A big shout out to the organizers.